What's up, assholes? Welcome back to the Call to Action podcast.
And I'm Danny.
Matt.
We got Dylan here too.
Yes, and like I said before in our episode earlier this week, we are doing the top five last five after a much overly long hiatus. For those of you who don't know, basically we are recapping our last five movies we saw and ranking them, worst to best, whatever. Mostly just to show you guys that, hey, not every movie list is going to be filled with the same shit. Sometimes you'll just have man movies that won't come up otherwise. So may as well sort of have a deeper discussion of more fluid topics, whatever. I don't know what I'm saying. So how about we just show you? Dylan, you want to start us off with your number five?
Yeah, man. All right. So recently joined a movie group with a bunch of friends of mine, so I'm getting some new, interesting, weird choices. But one that actually popped up that I'm not too upset about is Kung Fu Panda 2.
Yay.
Ended up in my five most recent ones, but it is right at the bottom of the five list for right now.
Well, it's not a bad movie, though.
No, yeah, it's not a bad movie. It's compared to the other four, it is one of those, it sits there and it's just, it does just enough to be entertaining without necessarily actually blowing me away. Like, it's one of those, I think even the guys mentioned recently on the Pixar versus MCU match, or Ben and Andrew mentioned, that pretty much all animated movies at this point are just above average. And I kind of just feel exactly that about Kung Fu Panda 2. I think that the choreography in it is fantastic. The villain is actually really interesting and really locked in, but at the end of the day, it was just a typical story. It was one of those ones I'll watch. I thought it was good, but probably not going to come back to anytime soon. Don't feel the need to rewatch it. Felt like it could have did more. As a sequel, it just didn't do what I want out of a sequel. It just went into the character of Po instead of going into the world, which I think is far more interesting. So in short, it just lands right at the bottom of the other competitors for this past month's top five.
Also, sorry for just flashing the camera at my dick. I was looking for something behind my computer.
What?
All right,
Wait,
no worries.
So there's actually 4 movies of Kung Fu Panda? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think
I
it's
don't
movies,
know.
but there is a TV series on Netflix or whatever.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember any of it. Was that the one where he found his dad?
Yeah, Kung Fu
That
Panda
was
2.
the third one.
Oh, that's the third.
Oh, yeah, 2 is the one where
Peacock.
they kind of
Gary
See?
Oldman.
tell
That's
me
why it's
something.
forgetful.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlike Shrek 2, which was a masterpiece.
What?
Shrek 2.
Yeah, it is.
Eh.
All right, look, I had to give that up because I just can't deny that. Hey Nat, how about you? What's your number five?
Well, I recently saw a couple days ago, I saw this new movie that came out. It's called Greta, and it stars Chloe Grace Moretz.
Oh, it's
And-
Greta Van Fleet?
Yes, it is.
Oh, I knew it.
Sorry, Aixa. But, yeah, so Chloe Moretz,
Don't apologize to her. We're here too.
if you don't know what this movie is, it's about Chloe Moretz is on a train, is on a subway, and she finds this purse. It's just a random purse, and she opens it up, finds the address of the person, brings it to her, and she turns out to be this crazy fucking psycho, and it gets pretty crazy there. And I don't know, I thought this movie was okay. I thought the acting was top notch. I thought Chloe Moretz really brought it. She always does, but it kind of felt like a B movie, but with like an A-list cast. Not really an A-list cast, but just like a really talented. And yeah, I think it could have been a lot better. And one of the things that I had a problem with when I was watching the trailer was that no one in New York would just take a random person, bring it back to the person who left it there. That doesn't happen. We're New Yorkers. Like,
Yeah.
call the police. You call the bomb squad. So, and I'm glad they had actually addressed this in the movie because I got kind of a little bit confused in the trailers. Like, who does this? But yeah, this movie was okay. I give it like atmosphere. 6 out of 10.
Was it crazy?
Yeah.
The thing was that people just did in New York. That's the thing that suspends the belief on the whole movie. They didn't wild out.
That's not a New York thing at all. I was just like, I didn't believe it. And I felt like when I saw the trailer, it felt like it gave away the entire movie. That was just my opinion.
Kind of, but I mean, this movie gets fucking crazy. Like, it escalates so fast, and I don't know. It was like one of the most stressful experiences in my life in a movie theater, but it still could have been a lot better.
Hmm.
Honestly, all like you talking about this just made me realize how a similar premise in the movie of Ma, which is coming out in like April or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was really excited for this. Sucks it's getting a reception it is. I'm probably still going to see it in a couple weeks. But let's just hope it's going to be good. Because if not, I'm just going to kill Nat. We can put that as a horror movie as well.
I hope you like it.
That's on the Call to Action Patreon that we're gonna launch.
Yeah, we have our own little style short film.
Yeah, no, because we're gonna be so.
Except for I'm actually going to kill
At
it.
the $1
lawsuits.
James
So
Kilmer.
many lawsuits are gonna be called against us.
And then you can join the Ghost League with Emma Fife and Dan Murrow.
A highly anticipated Ghost League coming soon.
If you don't understand that reference, go watch the other episode.
Yes. And we got some really crazy shit in between episodes. Oh god. Okay, Danny, what's your number 5?
Bohemian Rhapsody, number 5.
Ooh, number 5.
Mm-hmm.
It's a well-deserved number 5. Fuck you, Paul.
I don't know. This movie was just kind of okay. It's a movie with Queen music in it, but no. I mean, I don't know. I guess I was just very disappointed with it more than anything. Like I wanted something else, and I got just like a movie that I had more potential in, but I mean, I liked the Live Aid part, of course, but other than that, I mean, it was okay.
It did feel very much just like a live show of Queen featuring occasional.
If you're a fan of Queen's music, you'll like the movie.
Yeah.
But there's pretty much nothing else to it to me.
Yeah, I mean it's no Green Book.
You bitch! You haven't even seen it! I know your fucking games, Dylan. You can't start shit in here.
Huh?
Wait, no, Nat's seen it. We can talk about fucking Green Book later. Now, let's play it civil. Let's be nice. It'll all be fine.
Meanwhile, James, tear the ass out of Bohemian Rhapsody for. Why don't you?
It's like the better movie already exists. It's called Walk Hard: The Dewey Cox Story. It's one of the best comedies of all time. It made a musical biopic outside of Love and Really Fucking Worthless. And it's one of my favorites of all time. So yeah, fuck you, Rami Malek. Fuck you, Paul DeNuzzo. And
Harsh words.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure
fights.
I already talked about this movie on another Top 5 Last 5, so go watch that video. But I didn't even notice it was going to be your number 5. I just randomly have this fucking Bohemian Rhapsody.
You bitch. Oh, is it my turn now?
Yeah.
Sure is.
All right. Hi. For my number 5, I have one of the worst movies I've ever seen. It's called The Beach, and it's fucking.
With Leonardo DiCaprio?
You don't know. It is directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland, so it must be good, right? No. It fucking sucks. Because the whole thing, unlikable characters who are little whiny little fucking teen DiCaprio and growls at some people, and it's like, oh hey, I've been away from society for so long. Murder's fun. It's so inanely fucking stupid. And just to give you like the frame of where my mind is at, I had to read the book for class, watch the movie to write an essay on it, also for class. The movie is so fucking bad, I still haven't written the paper. It's so just... The entire thing is just fucking stupid. And that's fine. But you compare it with the novel, which I'm not even a fan of. But any good sentiment the novel has is ruined within the film. By turning a character granted, in the novel, she doesn't have as much. She doesn't need it that much, but is turned into an object to just further the plot and for DiCaprio to stick his dick in. At the same time, she looks like fucking Natalie Portman, the professional. Like, hey, you know what's good for our movie? Let's have a fucking 14-year-old titties just sitting out there on the beach, because that's a selling point, right?
Wait,
Like,
the
the
director
decision in this movie is wrong.
You said Danny Boyle made this movie?
Yes. I believe this is the last film made by the studio as well, because it was
Was it that Weinstein film?
maybe, I don't know, because I know Daniel Boyle worked with them on Trainspotting. I was like, oh hey, this is really good. Hey Boyle, want to pick up this film that's like one of the cultural milestones of the last 5 years? Sure, let's do that. And then he did this, and I just breezed over it, but I need to mention it again. They casted a woman who looked 14 and then changed her role from the book so someone could have sex with her and get her naked on camera.
This is
I
14.
seriously fucking hate this movie.
One thing
Nobody
I've
has a
noticed,
poster of the beach, do they?
no, I don't have posters.
All right,
But
good.
one thing I've noticed is that I really enjoy James' rants, but only when I haven't seen the movie he's ranting about. So, yeah. That's all I have to control. I haven't seen the movie.
It's okay. My next movie is also a rant, and I'll piss Danny off a lot. Before then, hey Dylan, what's your number 4?
My number 4 on my list was A Scanner Darkly. Older
I
movie.
like this one.
Oh man,
What was it?
A Scanner Darkly. It was who's that? It was Keanu Reeves, Woody Harrelson. Who's the female actress? I'm forgetting right now. Oh hell, hold on. I'll IMDb her here in a little bit. But
Isn't The Scanner Darkly the one that's just a bunch of vignettes of singular stories? That's
Yeah.
rotoscope animation.
so
It's based on a Philip K. Dick, the novel he
Mhm.
did, Blade Runner.
Yep, Denis Villeneuve directs it, and it's just they shoot the movie, and then apparently the work that went into it, and they shot the movie, and then they hand drew or animated every single shot, and then added all the effects and stuff through it, which is it feels afterwards a very Denis Villeneuve movie, which I think in a way it excels in. It seeks out to sit here and at the end of the day with the spoiler of the ending morals, just kind of give you. Essentially, it's just make you feel like you're on this acid trip. It makes you literally feel like you've actually done drugs and gone through this whole experience. Which,
Yep.
switching it to animated was the best decision they could have made, because it just puts you in that mindset. So many bizarre, weird visuals that they do that are just so sweet, but also so just uncomfortable. It perfectly puts you in that mindset, and I think it really does that well. The only problem I have against it is that it almost does it too well, where it's too uncomfortable. And in that way, it's just the director does such a great job. Denis Villeneuve kills it in that exact moment. But it's one of those movies I enjoyed. It was a fun trip.
It's actually
But-
Richard Linklater. Thank you very much.
Is it Richard Linklater? I thought it was Denis. Well, there we go. All right, I would have lost that point.
Linklater did this and Waking Life, which are both rotoscoped.
Oh yeah, that is. All right, really good did that. I don't know why I thought Villeneuve. Maybe he. Oh, I know what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about a different movie that's also on this list. That's okay. I'm getting it all mixed up. But
First timer. It's okay.
yeah, I remember the movie. The director was the one that was wrong. But
Mhm.
yeah, so Scanner Darkly ended up at a 7.5 for me, just because it was a solid movie, super good. But I don't want to go back to watch it, and that's not against it. It's probably a strength in its favor.
Yeah,
Well,
I said
I-
I've only seen this movie one time. I couldn't watch it a second time
Yeah, I
But-
agree.
because
I
it's just,
never even seen
it
it.
fucked with my head.
Yeah, no, it's a trippy movie.
Mhm.
It was doing what Black Mirror does now.
Yes. Before its time, I think that's why it didn't do so well in the theaters.
Oh yeah,
But like when it got into home videos, it became a movie that people checked out. I remember getting it on Blockbuster,
hmm
like getting it on DVD or something.
I still remember like the trailers and stuff for it that far back, and I just remembered, I want to check this out. And then I'm like, I'm glad I didn't, because I'd be a different man if I saw that at the age that it came out.
all right, and then Nat, I believe you're up next.
The next one, recently nominated for an Oscar, is Cold War.
Yes. Wait, number
I wanna
4.
I want to
I
see that
mean-
movie.
I really like
Fuck.
I really like my top 3, but I really like Cold War too.
Good.
I think it's stunning. It's beautiful. Cinematography is out of this world, and I don't know, like it's just a really thought-provoking movie about two lovers who are like keep getting pulled apart, and I thought it was really, I don't know, like I don't know the word, but it just made me really think. But I did have a few issues with this movie, like. I don't usually need to be able to root for the main character, but I think that would really help this movie because I couldn't really get behind these two people. Like it didn't work for me fully, but it's a beautiful movie, and I totally recommend everyone see it.
Or you can watch it on Amazon. It goes on streaming March 22nd.
I think, unless I'm mistaken, Danny and Dylan, you haven't seen it, right?
No, but I wanted to see it in the theater, but I never got a chance to.
Yeah.
Haven't seen it yet.
I have to agree with Nat here. I think it had, like, just speaking from 2018, one of the best directing jobs, one of the best looking films in terms of cinematography. The use of black and white really helped elevate the actual look of the film. I forgot her name, but the woman in it was fucking amazing. Easily best actress worthy.
Yeah.
It's similar to a lot of movies, and I think the specificity and the details of it are what really elevates it. But I think without Pavel Skolsky, I think his last name is, whatever. Without him, I think the movie's 1,000 times worse.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And then, Danny, how about you go?
Number 4, I have. It's called Izzy Gets the Fuck Across Town. It's
What the
this
fuck?
weird.
What?
It's this really weird movie that premiered at Sundance, and last year. It stars Mackenzie Davis. If we were speaking about Black Mirror, she's the one that plays Yorkie in San Junipero. Yeah, she plays this Izzy, and basically the whole premise is her trying to get across town to go to break up the engagement party of her ex-boyfriend, who's getting married to her ex-best friend. So it's basically this punk rock movie about her just being this riot girl. She's not very likable. She used to have be in a band with her sister, and she kind of burns bridges wherever she goes. So she keeps going to meet all these random people, but she kind of keeps messing things up because she's not very likable. And then she finally gets to the engagement party, and yeah. I mean, I like this movie for the music, and it was kind of cool, but the third act, I mean, didn't really work. It wasn't really much of a payoff. And the director, apparently, his last feature was that he was a director of NBA 2K18, which I thought was pretty random. So,
What the fuck?
you can watch it on Amazon.
This week's podcast is now sponsored by Amazon.
Yeah, I watched a lot
Did
of
you wait? What was the movie you said?
he gets the F out of town.
Izzy gets the
gets the
fuck
F.
across town.
Yep.
Directing job. Did you say NBA 2K18?
He directed NBA 2K18. Christian.
What?
Yeah.
What kind
the
of
guy.
fucking connection is that?
I told you that's what random this movie is about. And there's moments where it's kind of interesting. Like, she actually has a pretty good singing voice with her and her sister, who's played by Carrie Coon. And they did like a little song that they did together, like back in the day. That got them to play it at South by Southwest. And then they had like this attempt to be like existential, but it was just really random and weird. But I liked it, and I liked it more than Bohemian Rhapsody. So
Sounds like a dick nat.
I don't even love Bohemian Rhapsody that much.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here, back in our train of shit, and a sort of connection to Dylan's earlier through Winona Ryder. It is 1996's, I believe it's 96, Reality Bites.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Yeah.
No, it fucking sucks.
Lisa
Don't even
Loeb.
try it.
Lisa
Nah.
Loves You Stay. My favorite
94. Oh wow.
94.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had to write a review of this, and I'm just gonna read you what I had in there. If I
And
can
then read
hear
my
this.
comment underneath,
No,
please.
a random lottery of meaningless tragedy in the eternal conflict of establishing
Boo.
individuality in a society that attempts to enforce corporate conformity. 4 teenagers whine and complain their way to be noticed, only to throw away every opportunity for success. This movie is so fucking stupid. It has this like eternal like teenage yearning to be noticed, but these people are just out of fucking college, and like okay, Winona Ryder, extremely fucking obnoxious in this movie. She gets a chance for a TV show to be made, turns it down because it's not her vision. She gets a chance to be a fucking assistant manager at Sears or whatever, turns it down because it's not art. And then she goes and fucking hooks up with little greasy boy Ethan Hawke, who treats her like shit. And the only reason they're together is because they're just comforting each other. They're just friends who fuck. And they're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to throw in a future for you. And it's just teenage, pretentious hypocrisy. And it's annoying. And you know what, Danny? I'm sorry, but Jesus Christ, this movie fucking sucks.
It's the movie of Generation X. It defines the Generation X movie.
I fucking hate Generation X.
I know.
I almost view
the
it
movie.
I almost view this as satire. Like, if I think about it now,
Yeah.
and scheme of things, it's like what baby boomers and stuff like that talk. Like, this is like how they see millennials. This is how everybody who's not a millennial and older is like.
Yeah.
Reality Bites is their reference movie for what millennials is like.
If you told me it was a satire, I would love it. Are you kidding? It would be perfection. But no, it's a romantic comedy, which again, I had to write a review on this for class, and I was docked points because I didn't realize it was a romantic comedy. The romance isn't even brought into question until the third act. And even then, it's not funny because he treats her like shit.
But how about that Lisa Loeb song? You Stay.
No.
I like that song. I'm a 90s kid.
The only thing about this movie that was worth a damn was Winona Ryder. And not even her acting. She's just cute in the movie. That's about it. I really didn't like this movie. It's not as bad as The Beach, but it's not good.
I haven't seen this movie, but the way James just completely shut Danny down was just has me dying. He's like, no.
I know, because I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remembered that I liked that movie back in the 90s.
My comment underneath, no.
Okay, Nad, what's your number 3?
Isn't it Dylan's turn?
Huh? Oh, no, yeah, it's Dylan.
It's Dylan.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, James. Number 3 is Green Book. Now I'm playing. That's number 1.
You haven't fucking seen it.
It's my anticipated number 1 film now because of James's praise on this. No,
I'm a fucking fight you, dude. Don't even try.
movie trivia showdown. All right, we'll have a nerd geekdom match or something. We'll do that.
No.
Oh.
I won't do that.
All right, so my number 3 is a indie flick, somewhat indie flick, more of a festival darling. Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Yes.
And whew, this movie is a field hunter. This one came out no, that's My Name Is Earl. When did this movie come out? I think 2010 or something like that. Yeah, what was that? 2015.
Speaking of books.
Yep. There you go. Based on the popular book, Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. A short synopsis, a very, very short synopsis. As did say, it's a teen drama where it centers around a boy and a girl because of course, and the girl finds out that she has a terminal illness, and the parents of the boy says, "Go hang out with this girl." And it's like this pity project thing, but it's very rooted in its dark, almost like dark humor. It just revolves around that throughout the entire time. It's just them hanging out and kind of having this pseudo love story, so to speak, but it goes all the way through the end. I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything like that, but everything about it is very dark humored, but dark humored in a really realistic way that I really enjoyed. It was like, this is the humor I would have if I was a dark humored teenager. and I thought that it was spot on that. And I have a special place in my heart for all teen dramas. I was a Degrassi fan growing up for almost my entire life. I can still watch most of Jersey Shore, which is just teen drama in adult form. All of these things, it felt right. It was very realistic in how it approached it. It didn't feel like it was ever embellished for it to be a movie, and I thought it was just super enjoyable. Performances were fantastic as well. We had John Barenthal as not the Punisher in this film, and I think that's just I gave it some credence. At first, I was just on the fence with it, but just seeing his character and then Nick Offerman's in there as well, seeing them in just that different medium.
Barenthal was fucking perfection in that movie.
Oh yeah, so good, so good. It's just the knowledge pushing history teacher. Fantastic.
And he's so buff and hot. And
so jacked. God. All right, we're going to stop crushing on John Barenthal for this little segment. This is sponsored by...
That's right. We can move on to hitting on Tom. Just a ginger stick, basically.
Threaten me with a good time, John. But... So this movie lands number 3 only because number 1 and 2 are so good, but they all have the same scores from this point forward. All the rest of my movies have an 8. It's just what I think is probably better films along the way.
I can't really argue with you. I mean, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But even so, like I can see 2 movies. They're both 9 out of 10 for me.
All right.
But just, it's so good, and I love it so much. And you said, like, the writing is perfect. As someone who comes from the generation that they're talking about, like with Reality Bites for Danny, it just feels wholly authentic and real.
I don't know what you don't buy about Renee Zellweger being ever a teenager in her life.
What?
No, Renee Zellweger played like a teacher or something on there. I'm forgetting. She was in there. Yeah. And Reality Bites? Not in Me, Arnold, Dying Girl,
No.
but Reality Bites.
No. She wasn't.
You sure? Because I got the IMDb
Yeah.
up. And she says Tammy as Renee Zellweger.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to look the shit up now. But, yeah, just the movie feels really special to me. And I don't know how to really talk about it other than it just feels incredibly personal. And the ending is perfect.
Mm-hmm. I saw that movie.
In a weird way.
It's not like The Fault in the Stars, which is...
Oh, no, stars.
Yeah, Fault in Our Stars.
Mhm.
This is what Fault in the Stars was trying to do.
That's what I said. This is
Yeah.
this is the better version of The
Fucking
Fault in the
start with me,
Stars.
boy. Don't you
But
start with me.
I like that book, though. I enjoyed the book.
The movie is one of the best romantic dramas of the decade.
What, The Fault in Our Stars?
Yes.
No.
I say that 100% seriously. It's fucking amazing.
It's okay.
It's alright. I can think of others.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
What does Nat think of? The Dying Girl.
Nat thinks he should watch it now after we 3 highly recommend it.
This is the show. Nat hasn't seen it.
Yep.
If it didn't come out after the second half of 2017,
Nat's only started watching movies since 2017, everybody. Give him a break.
I got Movie Pass. So.
Shit. I have my movie pass still. Shit, I need to cancel that soon. But I feel your pain, Nat.
All right, so moving on. Number 3.
Nat, number 3.
All right, so I really loved my top 3. There will be no Life Itself this episode. My number 3 is Fighting with My Family. And if you didn't know, the biopic, the wrestler Paige. And I am a huge Paige fan, so I was really excited for this movie. I thought the trailers looked terrible, but thankfully the movie's much better. So if you don't know who Paige is, she's this really important person who kind of ushered in a women's revolution in wrestling. Like before there were the 4 horsewomen, before there was a queen, before there was a goddess, there was Paige, and she's the one who kind of stopped people from using the word diva. Like they don't call them divas anymore. They just call them superstars. And I think they did a really good job, like being respectful about her whole family and where she came from, and it was really interesting to see. There were some things that I thought were weird how they changed. Like they kind of like took it and made it kind of like tough enough, which didn't happen. And they just kind of like skipped over her being NXT champion, and they changed the year and whatever for God knows why. But all those changes aside, I really love this movie. It had a good amount of humor and it had a lot of heart. Like I was like tearing up watching this movie, and I know the story, so it just really hit me hard, and I really liked it a lot. I actually think that people who aren't wrestling fans or people who aren't familiar with Paige will actually enjoy this just as much as I did, because it's just a good story.
Mm-hmm. That was what I was going to say. Is people who aren't huge wrestling fans, will they get the same kind of emotion?
Yeah, I definitely think they will. It's a little bit generic and it's kind of predictable, but it does like hit hard. It tugs at your heartstrings, and it's just a movie that can be just about anyone, but it's about Paige. Like, you can just take her out and like make it like a Hollywood story, and it would still be pretty much the same. Like you can people who don't know wrestling and watch wrestling will still like this movie, I think.
Yeah, the way it was presented was very much as just very emotional underdog story, and I think that we can always get behind that theme as a whole. Like you take away any whoever that person is and just make it that, and if you execute it well enough, I think you're always going to have just a movie with a lot of good heart behind it. And I haven't seen it yet, but just on the trailers and what I've heard, it does look super good.
So this is the best wrestling movie since Ready to Rumble, right?
Without a doubt, yes.
Oh man,
wrestling movie.
Yeah, like
well, actually, never mind. There was a movie called The Wrestler. I'll take that back.
Yeah, The Wrestler.
Oh, The Wrestler, of course.
I was about to say we're not going to put Warrior or anything into that because that's not wrestling. Not the right wrestling.
Yeah.
What do we call Shy Wolves versus Who's the Boss wrestling as well, with the tackle that Andrew Guy does to Ben Bateman?
Yes.
It's a sport now.
Okay.
It's
the
the
best
underdog
wrestling
story.
movie of the decade then.
It's the underdog story of the table finally getting screen time and then totally losing it to two bigger personalities.
Oh man.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie. I have no idea what to add other than I really want to see it, and I love Stephen Merchant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really good directing in this movie.
Also just wasted a golden raspberry. I'm fucking retarded. I want to get a ditto. So, Danny, it's your turn.
Mine's another movie that's called Anna and the Apocalypse. Nat knows about this movie. It's basically a zombie movie set in Christmas, and it's a musical. So it's got the makings of a High School Musical with a zombie background during Christmas. So the concept of it just sounds kind of totally weird and insane, but this actually came out in 2017 in the UK. It just got recently on the VOD here, but the soundtrack is really good, and it takes itself pretty like it starts off kind of like this little parody where everything is kind of like the girl just wants to like go to travel to Australia without knowing like the impending doom of the apocalypse. And then like they kind of just break into song in the cafeteria, and it looks like it's just going to be one of these like, you know, these typical teen musical things or Glee. And then all of a sudden there's just like a lot of heart that gets towards the end, and it's actually like a really sad movie. And I think the actress, her name is Ella Hunt. She did a really good job as Anna. There's another guy who's the actor who's like plays as like her best friend John. I don't know who the actor was, but
Malcolm Cumming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, but I like the one song. and when Nat said that's the one song.
It's past.
Oh my god. Second. Hey Danny, can I take over for a second?
All right, Nat. So Nat's seen the movie.
Yeah, I'm just gonna read from my review because I'm lazy.
Mm.
I went in this completely blind, and I'm so surprised at how much I like this. This was delightful. When you mix so many genres together, you risk alienating fans who dislike the others. But I'm not sure what type of person I would recommend this to. But it's definitely something I enjoyed. It's a comedy, it's a musical, it's a zombie movie, it's a holiday movie, and somehow it hits all of these fairly well. It has much more heart than I was anticipating. It's for sure worth checking out. So I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was a fun time. It wasn't like didn't do anything like too revolutionary besides like taking all these genres and putting them together. But it was a really good time.
I'm gonna call it one of the top great like game changing movies, but it was definitely a fun movie to like have. And like I said at the end, it was like surprisingly kind of sad, and there's like heart moments of like heart.
Yeah, there was so much heart in this movie.
Yeah, I don't want to give it away, but it was just really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was kind of, I don't know if it was his intention to make like a movie that would supposedly like set in Christmas and have it musical, and then have the zombie apocalypse as like something like ironic or something. But I kind of got that feeling where like it was intentionally like something like really like that's supposed to be like associated with like happiness and like carefreeness of like Glee or like those high school musical teen musicals and Christmas time. It's like everyone's happy, but then the shit of like the apocalypse, just like her just walking down the street while the whole zombies are like attacking and killing people in the background.
That was such a good scene too.
And she's like, I'm living their best life now. It's like she's already dancing around in the graveyards and stuff. So it's really, like ironically humor.
Great. So for my number 3, it's a movie that looks like when I wrote down, because my should be your handwriting, I have, which did come out in 1996, which stars Anthony Hopkins and Alan Cumming. So we can keep this joke. Thank you, Dylan. It is an adaptation of what is now my favorite Shakespeare play, Titus Andronicus, and director Julia Taymor tries to make it more interesting by contrasting Shakespearean stuff with modern technology, and it works about as well as you think it does. Like there's scenes where like there's parties and they're playing like 20s jazz music, more like 30s because it's big band, and it's filled with like overacting. And like my largest, like I can't be as emphatically hatred about this. I cannot emphatically hate this as much because I do love the play and a lot of its roots are still there. And the villain, the main villain of it, Aaron the Moor. Oh, he's so hot. They casted him perfectly, but like the actor brings this sort of like psychosexual vibe to the character, which I wouldn't have even thought of. But he dominates in a really pleasing way. And then it's like he's there and it feels great. And then you cut to fucking in the middle of ancient Shakespearean Britain or whatever. And it's for those of you who don't know, it's Shakespeare's darkest play. It's so fucked up that a lot of scholars don't even think it was written by Shakespeare. One scene in particular, which is handled beautifully, like one of the most striking images in film I've ever seen, is then immediately contrasted with that modern, like playing video games in an arcade style horseshit. And it's out of anything, it's sort of not boring, but uninteresting. Because they have so much fantastic source material to pull from, and at the end it just sounds hollow.
I agree. That is your opinion.
Have you guys not seen this?
I've not seen it.
I saw I saw bits and parts of it a long time ago.
And you watch it because of how amazing the play is in general, and much of the original text is still there. It's just Julie Taymor's interpretation of it,
Mm-hmm.
or is really fucking hot. And despite all preconceived notions, so is Alan Cumming. Like he has this like 50s greaser style look to him, and he's a little bitch, but he's really cute looking. Like
So this is
as
James's
well.
wet dream, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop of Candor sort of ruined.
Hmm.
Got it. You like. I recommend you watch it just to see the amazing piece of writing the original play is. But if you can read, just fucking read the play. It's amazing.
No, I've read the play. I read the play. Just
But the play is so good. Hey Nat, I forget. Was it Nat or
Dylan.
was it Dylan? It was
Dylan.
Dylan.
Yep.
Hi Dylan.
Hey,
What's your number 2?
number 2. Speaking of overly attractive men and really uncomfortable situations, is the movie Prisoners, actually directed by
Oh.
Denis Villeneuve.
Oh.
Yep,
that's a
that
good one.
it is a great one. I finally got around to watching it. I had heard it. I'd seen it across the board, and it was one of those Jake Gyllenhaal movies. That and Nightcrawler have both been on my list for long enough, which is not my number 1. It's still on my list at this time. But I finally got around to getting to watch it, and it is something. For the plot, for those who haven't watched it or just tune in and trying to listen to it. So it starts out with Hugh Jackman as a family man. It's the good ending of Logan, where he has a family. He's living, and he goes on Thanksgiving. They go over to a friend's house, and he has this little girl, and the little girls go to play, and they end up getting kidnapped. So Jake Gyllenhaal's an officer, main detective that's on the case, and it kind of goes through a couple different storylines. You kind of just see Hugh Jackman unwinding and becoming this maniac. So I guess it really isn't the best version of Logan, but you see him just devolve into this crazed but understandably validated person who's just losing his mind, trying to do anything he can to find his daughter, while Jake Gyllenhaal is trying to solve this case. And it just plays it off so well, where it's just this deep, dark, very rooted and just grounded in that you can believe that this has happened. And there's so many times where you sit there, and small spoiler is that at one point they're sitting there, and Hugh Jackman's character makes like this torture box for the person who he suspects is kidnapped his daughter, and it's this lower functioning, I guess, young man. I don't know. He's like teenager, young adult, or something like that. But he's just torturing this kid over and over and over again, and you're just so mixed because part of you is like, you get it. If that was your daughter and you're Hugh Jackman, sure, I'm doing anything to figure it out. But if you're right, but then you sit there and you take a step back and you think, but what if I'm wrong, and I'm the bad guy in this? And it just does such a great job of putting you in that dynamic of there's no really good guy, bad guy, right or wrong, except for maybe like the kidnapper. Everything is kind of so locked into the gray that it just leaves this nice whale fat atmosphere on you. You just feel like you're just soaked into it. And I love the tone of it, but a lot of the thing that holds it back from being a number 1 spot, despite excellent performances and a great story, is that it's one of those movies that I probably don't want to go back to watching again just because of how I felt afterwards. It's the same thing I had with Scanner Darkly. It was great. Good movie. Excellent performances. But it made me feel real bad. Like, really bummed me out for a little while that day. And I was just like, for my mental health, I'm going to sit here and take a break and probably not watch Prisoners again for a second. But it is a fantastic movie.
I've seen this movie.
Agreed. I fucking love this movie. This was the first sign that Denis Villeneuve is going to be one of the best filmmakers of the decade.
He's working his way up there with Nolan and Fincher.
Yeah.
But he's into this guy.
Unfortunately, he won't have time to like stake his claim because Dune is coming out in 2020.
All right.
I fucking love him. I need to go back and watch some of his foreign films, but Jesus Christ, is he like making a name for himself with dark and fun? I just adore. On top of that, like even him aside, Paul Dano is like this is one of the first movies I really sat there and looked like, damn, Paul Dano is like really fucking good, and he still has had not a single Oscar nomination.
Not a single, and just playing that victim while still even just giving you enough character to sit here and make you doubt it, just enough for you to believe Hugh Jackman's very irrational thought process that it has to be this person that's responsible for this. That's a hard line. Playing the ones that you're like a character that you hate, but also you're sitting there and you have to question if do you really hate them this much though, because you start to genuinely feel bad for them. Like that's all his performance.
At the same time, Dano's playing like this mentally handicapped character which you don't think would like you think it'd be bad, and you think like he would need to be like punished for taking on something like that, but he manages to bring this like sort of like I can't think of the word, but just like sort of this like humble humility to it. Like he has no idea what's going on, and like sort of bringing grace to a character which most other actors wouldn't want to get near.
But yeah, that's where I land on it. I don't know if Nat and Danny have any specific thoughts or if they've seen the movie, but
it's been on my list.
Yeah.
I plan to very soon, definitely. I really want to dive.
Absolutely should.
I really plan to do filmography because I've only seen Sicario and Blade Runner 2009, but I really love both those movies. So I'm really interested in his other films.
Yeah, I think this made into my top 10 of that year. Is it? I love that movie.
Oh yeah,
and I need to watch it again.
It seems so far that anytime I've been watching any Denis Villeneuve's movies, it's just worked its way into my top 10, possibly even my top 5 of that year, regardless of whenever it actually came out, whenever I did watch it. Even Blade Runner 2049, which got kind of shit on here and there. I had a really good time with it. Still.
It's a really nice movie too.
Yeah.
It did not get shit on. It was properly hailed as one of the best movies of the year, of the decade, and of all time. Again, as it should be.
I agree. Maybe it was just my personal community pulse to it. It didn't feel like it was high. I was the only one that was high on that movie. But maybe
I think that is a you thing. And in the circles I run in, it is very much loved and respected.
Yeah, mine too.
But not as loved as the first movie for me, personally. But
It's all right, Danny. We can all be wrong.
I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was I thought shot wise and the way it was like made, it was a beautiful movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to compare it to. Like, it didn't have like a moment like it did in the first one, where at the ending of the first one, but everything else it just nails.
But anyway, that's my number 2 for this time, and that's why I'm around smarter people who appreciate better movies.
Speaking of smarter people,
toss that IQ right out the window.
It's definitely not me. Because James made fun of my Anne and the Apocalypse movie.
Nat, what about your number 2? A man of
so it's so weird that you picked Prisoners as your number 2, because my number 2 has two of the people involved in Prisoners. Jake Gyllenhaal and Paul Dano, who directed this movie, and it's Wildlife.
I like this movie.
It's not fair. I still haven't fucking seen this.
It's
really such a good movie.
I didn't really know anything about it coming in, but basically it's about, just on surface level, it's about a 14-year-old boy, and his father loses his job. So this takes place in the 1960s, I believe, in Montana, and there's like forest fires like every day, and so his father is out of a job, so he decides to take up work putting out the fires, fighting fires, which leaves him and his mother alone, and it goes down from there. So anyway, this stars Jake Gyllenhaal and Carey Mulligan. They're both fantastic, and the 14-year-old boy, I forgot his name. I think it's
Joe.
Ed Oxenbould, the actor's name.
I don't remember his actor name, but I know his name is Joe.
Yeah, it was Joe. And it just, it's the movie that really makes you think. Like, it's very cerebral, and it's kind of a slow build, but there's so much tension in this where given the subject matter, I don't. It's really hard to create that kind of tension with what they had, but somehow they did it.
Mhm.
Just, it's really worth seeing. I recommend it so much.
Yeah, it kind of takes a shot of that whole 1950s kind of like innocent time of the family drama, the Leave It to Beavers. You know, the mom stays at home and stuff
Yeah.
like that. The father wants the son to play football and baseball. And like it's kind of like Joe trying and his father lost his job and then like he sort of becomes like absent in the picture for most of the movie, but you still feel his presence most of the movie, Jake Gyllenhaal, even though he's not really in the movie most of the movie. But really, it's all about the mom and kind of like her story. It becomes it's through the eyes of Joe, seeing it kind of unravel. And I think the title is kind of like a double meaning to the whole theme of the movie as well. But I don't want to spoil anything. I just would rather have everyone to see it go in blind because then you can really experience the way
This is
it's
small.
meant to be.
Small one. They mentioned the title in the movie, which I love. I don't know why it's so stupid, but I love it when they say the title in the movie.
Mm-hmm. So go out and see it. Support it.
Yep, the movie.
Well,
And
it's
I
available
guess,
on VOD now, so you can at least do something about it.
yep.
Is it available on Amazon like every other movie on our top fives?
No, but you can rent it on there and watch it on Amazon or iTunes.
My next movie isn't available
Oh, you
on
skipped
Amazon
me.
Trend. No,
skipped
I'm
me.
not saying anything. It's your turn.
Yeah. While we're on the topic of fire and wildfires and burning down the Schmodown, my number 2 is called Burning. It's a South Korean movie,
Yes.
and I love this movie. It's based on the short story by, it's called Bar Burning by Murakami, and he's one of my favorite Japanese writers. Where do I begin with this movie? There's so much to break down with this movie
Where to begin?
because it's really hard to talk about
Yeah.
without like giving away a lot of it. So basically, Steven Yeun. Oh well, so French isn't the one guy. He's like meets up with an old classmate of his, and I don't even know how to describe it. So
It's really hard to talk about this movie without spoiling it.
yeah, but Nat, you and James, you've seen this, right?
I've seen it, and it's my number
Of
3
course.
of 2018.
It's my number 3 movie of the year. But there's one scene in particular in this movie that I love. I think it's one of the best shot scenes. It's her dancing in like in the
Yes,
evening.
the titty scene.
Hey, yes, I didn't want to spoil that part, but the way
Snaps for that.
the
Snaps for that.
sunset is there. It's besides the titties, it's a very pretty scene.
But also titties are nice.
Mm-hmm. But basically, he says that he's an arsonist, Steven Yeun, and there's kind of like this whole mystery behind it, and it's kind of like reality, and it's very similar to his writings, but this was more of Murakami's thriller rather than him. Is more of his psychology and philosophy. His books are really weird, but I recommend reading some of his books.
I just want to say on a tangent that Constant Wu is way better than Anthony Davis. But anyway, back to the movie. I thought it was unbelievable how Steven Yeun, he went from Glenn to this completely different character, and it's just amazing. Like this film is just wrecks your psychology. Like I don't know how to get into it without spoiling it, but it's so good. It's my number 3.
Here, I'll just take attention away from you. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm done anyway.
We're doing dumb shit on the side. Don't worry, guys. Burning is really good and slow. I described it to a friend as the kind of movie I'll respect more when America remakes it really bad.
Would you call it a slow burn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
I have the power to kick you out of this chat room. You want to fucking try me?
I got one more movie. Try me. Let's roll.
I got one more, and it's better than. All right, I got two more. Both of them are better than yours because they're another higher rated. My number two is the only movie I have on my list that I actually saw in the theater because I couldn't just wait 6 months. It is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. You okay, Nat?
Yeah.
Nobody's seen it.
And
Did I steal your thunder there?
what?
Did I steal your thunder?
No. One recent movie you picked, I haven't seen yet.
Oh, okay. I can't speak emphatically for this because the movie did lack a certain panache, whatever, that the first movie. However, that doesn't detract from the fact that it's still really, 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 really good. And I will eternally love Hiccup and Toothless's relationship. I think it's a great way to end off the series, especially with speaking about it as light as possible. There's sort of two endings here, and the way they use both of them, I think, really helps elevate not only the narrative, but also the rest of the series in retrospect. Again, I think the only thing really holding this movie back is that it lacked a certain connection that the first two movies did. The way they opened it was a little strange, and I heard other people talk about it, how the plot was continuous and it wasn't just set up after like 15 minutes or whatever, so it started right away. So that might have been it. Something about the movie felt off, but even without that, it was still really good. Comedy was there. The drama was good, even though in all three movies, which is really weird. And I really loved Hiccup and Astrid's relationship, how it developed in this movie.
Oh, really? I thought she wasn't really in this movie that much. That was like what I heard in non-spoilers.
No, she was in it plenty.
Like, they said that like the secondary characters got more attention.
Disagree. She's one of the most important parts of the narrative.
Tonally, does it line up with the first two, or did it feel like a darker for the sake of darker?
It felt a lot lighter. Like, I had a friend compare it to Red Eye, and I was saying that's a lot more. That's a lot second one because of, spoiler alert, his father dying and mind control of an entire race of people just because one guy can scream really loud. And then let's beat the world-ending dragon with babies.
Man.
Yeah, the movie is very just. It lacks. It doesn't have anything to say, and it lacks a sort of heavy drama. And the villain is fucking non-existent. The villain does not matter.
Yeah, because on the trailer, it seemed as though they were trying to give it the Cars 3 treatment. Like at a glance, like Cars 3 just seemed like this extreme drama, and I almost got that same vibe off of the trailer for How to Train Your Dragon 3. It was just this is the Logan of the series.
I will say I actually really like Cars 3, so that's not really an insult.
Mm-hmm.
But I think no matter what, you should go see it because I think it's the most digestible of all the movies. And it doesn't require any sort of watching of the other two to totally understand it. I think it's just a good time. And it's a pretty easy number two because my other three movies were shit. So yeah, go see How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World.
So would you say this is the second best DreamWorks trilogy besides Shrek?
No, it's the best because you have Shrek 3, which is an abomination.
Mm-hmm.
And I would consider the first two movies in this trilogy some of the best animated films of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get an update of that with my number one. Before we do that, Dylan, how would you give us your 5 through 2 and then tell us your number one?
5 through 2 on review. So number 5 was Kung Fu Panda 2 with a score of 7, and it will stay at 7. Followed by the other animated flick on mine, A Scanner Darkly at 7.5. Number 3 was Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. Special Place in My Heart with just a great teen drama. And then A Special Place to Ruin All the Love That I Had and Send Me Into a Dark Despair was Prisoners at number 2. And my number 1 flick from this past month, The Social Network.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So, man, there are very few movies I could sit here and say I could just listen to on audio, like as an audio movie, like take away all the visual, and I'm still just as almost as entertained. The dialogue on it is so good. The banter, the witty talk, it's just one of those movies that you're magnetically just so entranced by just them talking. And the character performances are also great there as well. Andrew Garfield and Jesse Eisenberg. Jesse Eisenberg is probably just playing Jesse Eisenberg, to be honest, but whatever. That's the director finding the perfect role for the perfect character in that. All of it was just, maybe it kind of met me in that teen drama sense where it was just the younger college years, but it was just hyper successful college. But between the growing plot on seeing how the trials kind of go out and how the whole story goes, it makes something that is probably pretty dark and bleak, but then actually kind of gives you that uplifting, but I'm enjoyed and in a positive tone after watching it, that I think it just left me on such a good note. And that with all if nothing else alone, it just has probably the best entertainment value out of all 5 of them. Yeah, I think those are going to be my biggest things with it. My brain is getting fried by the later into the night. I could go into depth on characters and development and stuff like that, but damn, this is just a fun movie. It's a good, fun movie over content that isn't as fun as you should think it is, but it kind of had the same vibe as, not Wolf of Wall Street, The Big Short. It was covering content where you're just like, I should be upset about this, but because I'm so entertained, I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I agree. I think this is David. I think this is David Fincher's masterpiece in saying only that its level of quality exceeds all of his other films, including Fight Club and Zodiac, which I think are my favorites of his. But Social Network is the best made film.
yeah,
Yep.
You okay, Nat?
yeah. I really love this movie. I thought it had really good directing, really good editing, really good acting. It just hits all of those notes for me. And it's been such a long time since I've seen it, but I remember really loving it.
Now, I'll remind you on a really sweet line that I'm just remembering. It's probably my favorite moment is the 2 whatever brothers or whatever in the movie, the twins. And they're Winklevoss. And they're sitting there and just going on about whether or not just beating Jesse Eisenberg's ass. And it's just like, I'm 6'3" and 180 pounds, 6'3", and there's 2 of me. Why am I not doing this? Fantastic writing. Andy Sorkin, I think, is the writer on that guy. Right? Sorkin.
Aaron Sorkin.
Yep, Aaron Sorkin.
That's right.
And also the score of this movie too.
Oh yeah, the score is criminally
Like Trent Reznor from Nine Inch Nails.
Trent Reznor is a fucking amazing composer. I haven't heard a single one of his scores yet that I haven't liked.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I had to charge my phone.
But I don't know about everybody else, or Nat, what your number 1 is, but that was my 5, 4, 3, 2, and my top 5. Bottom 5, all the way to the top. Nat, number 1, buddy.
Okay, well, let's go through my 5 through 2. And my number 5 was Greta. Number 4 was Cold War. Number 3 was Fight With My Family. Number 2 was Wildlife. And my number 1 is Thunder Road. And
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I like it.
Oyama's going to be very happy when he hears this.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I don't know, the tone was so unique. Like, I didn't know when to laugh and when to cry. It's like, I feel so uncomfortable laughing, but it's so funny. But, yeah, the acting in this is just brilliant. Like, the main actor, I think his name is Jim Cummings. He's so good. movie too.
And he directed it too.
Yeah, he directed it. He acted in it. This was his project, and you can tell that he really just like went all out in this movie. And
Yeah.
everyone did a great job in it. Like for like people who were like virtual unknowns, they just killed it. They knocked it out of the park. I recommend it so much. It's not the kind of humor that I usually enjoy, but it just got me. Like it was so funny.
Nat, you mentioned that the main guy was an unknown, but his name is Jim Cummings, and that is a name that is extremely that's a big up and comer in this podcast altogether.
Oh, shit.
And back.
Unless I'm mistaken, he's not an up and comer. Oh wait, no. It's just really fucking coincidental. That's the same. That's a different Jim Cummings than Winnie the Pooh.
What's up,
No,
boy?
that's not the same actor. I think
Because
this guy was.
I remember on Collider Live, Jim Cummings came on. It's like, oh, he did Thunder Road.
No, they're two completely different people.
Mm-hmm. This movie was a great movie, but again, like it was kind of like a movie that's hard to watch because you know whether he's overacting or if he's really like I don't know. It's hard to describe.
Yeah,
The
it
movie.
kind of feels like he's overacting, but it really works. And also, is
Yeah.
James frozen, you guys? Or is it just me?
Hmm?
Yeah, James is frozen online, unless he's just holding Nep's position and which would
Maybe
be
he's gone. We're
Jam-
free.
James type in the
Let's
chat.
show now. So yeah, Thunder Road. I have that in my top 15. I think that's maybe in. I had it in my top 10 for quite some time, and the same thing like what you said, Matt. Like from the opening scene to it, and how kind of like this guy's life kind of just was like falling apart, and you kind of just felt really bad for him and stuff. But it was like endearing at the same time. Like you didn't know whether to laugh or just feel like you're like. I was like I don't know if I should feel like laughing because
Yeah.
it's just like hard to like feel good for this. Feel like it's not a feel good movie, that's for sure.
No, it's not. And like, I was laughing, but I felt really bad about it. Like, I felt like I shouldn't be laughing. Like, this guy's life is gonna shit, and
Mm-hmm.
it's based on a short film. Like, they took the first 15, 20, 12 minutes of this movie, and they just like redid that scene, and they made it so much better somehow. And it was just really good. I think it's in it's my number 16 of 2018, so just outside the top.
Yeah, it's in my top 22. All right. So I guess I'll get a recap with mine.
Mhm.
So starting at number 5, I had Bohemian Rhapsody. Number 4, Izzy Gets the F Across Town. Number 3, I had Anna and the Apocalypse. Number 2, I had Burning. And number 1 was my second favorite movie of the year. It goes to, and also my fist pump moment if you see the action page. So spoiler on that. It's
Yes.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
I finally saw it, Nat.
I'm-
And let me tell you, that's my favorite superhero movie of 2018.
Oh, it's my favorite movie, period.
I love
Oh
this
shit.
movie.
Okay, so just me that dropped. All right, great.
Mhm.
All right. So you just missed my number 1 movie,
Okay, what was it?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Wait, you hadn't seen that already?
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
You know how long it takes Danny to see fucking amazing movies, like searching.
I know, because I searched for like the little like smaller movies, like
Yeah.
like Izzy Gets the F Across Town.
And
Wow.
Madeline's Madeline, which was also really fucking weird.
I love that movie. I like artsy weird shit, so get to know me. Anyway, I love the fact this movie was a movie that I didn't think I needed, and I was kind of like worried when I first saw it because this is the same studio that gave us the Emoji Movie.
Mhm.
And-
One of the best movies of all time.
Yeah, it's shit. It literally has a smiling piece of shit on that movie. But anyway, voiced by Patrick Stewart, nonetheless. But I love the story of Miles, and I thought they did an amazing job making it kind of like almost like a living comic comic book, and it's just something that even like the smallest details of seeing the stamp of approval, of the stamp little comic approval there. Stan Lee's cameo is probably the most heartwarming cameo I've ever saw. I bawled tears. I laughed. I cried. And this is something I mentioned like in my fist pump moment. Like this is my second favorite scene, besides the ending of Blind Spotting. Which, if you haven't seen that movie, please go see that movie. But when Miles kind of becomes his own superhero and embraces like his own powers, you see him in the beginning. Like, his dad's like saying like, his shoes are tie up his shoes. But in the last scene, his shoes are laced. He's got jumping off the wall, not sticking anymore. I could go on with this movie. There's so much things I love. I love the soundtrack.
He's like, "What's up, Danger?"
Mm-hmm.
And all the side characters. I want more Spartan Noir.
Oh my god.
Can't wait for the sequel.
Give me Anime Spider-Man. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting.
Penny.
Yes,
Parker.
Penny. Just give me a whole Penny movie. Give me all Gwen Stacy movies in development. I think is from whenever.
Yeah.
Well, from the last I've heard, the actual sequel they're gonna do is Miles and Gwen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you saw the ending of that movie, you would see that that's where they're going to take that direction.
Yeah, they're gonna go 2099 as well with the post-credits spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
What's the kid's name? Shit.
Well, I think I have. Open up.
Was it
Miguel.
Hector something? Miguel,
No, his
right?
name's Miguel.
Yeah.
Hector Navarro.
Hector!
Navarro! I will eat your ass, Navarro. We need to bring that catchphrase back.
Mm-hmm. Can we get that on a T-shirt, guys?
That's hard off.
If you support our Patreon, we will get you shirts that say "I will eat your ass."
At the $10 tier, you can actually get one of each of our faces, or bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, Danny? Maybe for next month, your number one can be the actual best movie of 2018, which is If Beale Street Could Talk.
Get the fuck out of here.
Maybe.
Have you even seen it, Nat?
I've seen it.
I still haven't seen that, but I don't think it'll beat Shoplifters.
Actually, it's in my top 10. Close enough.
Fucker. It should be in your top 5. It should be in your top 1. Because
It's my number 10.
amazing.
Barely making it in. But
Yeah,
anyway,
Bitch.
Hey guys, sorry about the little issue there. Somehow our Google Hangouts just shat itself, so we missed my number one. Basically, my number one was The Prince of Egypt. I think it's one of the best animated films of all time. I wasn't a big fan of the music, but other than that, I think in large part, just the story was amazing. The acting was on point. The animation is absolutely timeless. But yeah, I had a lot more in-depth discussion, but that's lost to time now. Just a lot of weird shit happened at the end of that. I'm sorry. Hopefully you had a fun time. And come back next month when we get to do the top 5, last 5 of March. And hopefully that one actually works out. Thanks.